2. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Strumming, strumming, drumming, strumming, drum. Strumming, drumming, drum. Strumming, drum. Strumming, drumming, drum. Strumming, drumming, drumming, drum. Strumming, drum. Strumming, drumming, drum. Strumming, drum. Baby, strumming, drum. Do, 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 do. Strumming, drum, strumming, drum, drum. Strumming, drum, strumming, strumming, drum. Strumming, drum, strumming, 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 drum. Strumming, drumming, drumming, strumming, drum. Strumming, drumming, drum, strumming, drum. Strumming, strumming, drum. Strumming, 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 drum. Strumming, drumming, drum, strumming, drum. Strumming, strumming, drum.
Prolonged podcast intro, everyone.
How'd you like them apples?
Try and connect it up. It's Lent on this current date. Give
Ash
it up.
Wednesday.
Give it up, people. So, what are we talking about on today's podcast?
Today's podcast, we're talking about bad habits to try and quit for Lent. So we got 6 weeks, 40 days. Where was he, in the desert? Was it? Don't know. Oops. Should know that.
I was going to make a joke about
40
deserts,
days.
but I don't know anyone who's in the desert. Bugs Bunny was in the desert once.
Was he?
Yeah, he's
40
loads.
days, 40 nights.
101 rabbit tails. Great video, people. Simba, was it up a mountain he was?
Was it in the garden? No, he went to the garden to get Gethsemane. God, must go over that story.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So that's the crack. We're following the old 40 days, 40 nights. Seeing as it's just Lent, we decided that we might talk about some things that you could give up for Lent. Number 1.
With your playing.
Yeah, sweets.
Just want to clarify that bit.
Number 1, sweets.
Yeah, number 2, cigarettes.
Yeah, so it's all based on your instrument playing. So we go back and over.
Yeah, cool. let's do
Okay,
it.
so number 1, I'll take it off. Tootling. Now, tootling is great fun, and it's something that will progress your playing and help your playing, as long as you're not supposed to be attending anything else at the time. So, for example, anyone who's driving, tootling and getting into a nice paradiddle pattern or something like that on the steering wheel is all good, as long as it's not taking away from your driving. Just like being in a lesson in particular is where I see it the most. Is I'll be instructing and trying to give people a new in or a new way of learning something, and they will be playing while I'm talking. Number 1 pet hate for any teacher. So you need to understand that when you're in the lesson for your half an hour, your 45 minutes, your hour a week, that tootling doesn't just affect your listening. Tootling also affects the teaching, because you can actually drive your teacher demented by tootling while they're trying to talk. So maybe that's something you could really focus on for the month of March and April, or whatever 6 weeks is.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, and don't do air guitar while you drive. That's a really bad idea. And the thing is that, yeah, with tootling, it's... I still remember how hard it was to have a guitar in my hands and not play it.
Yeah.
Like if I was 12 here now on a podcast, I'd be just going like this, just messing around the whole time.
Yeah.
And there are 1 or 2 little workarounds on guitar, not on drums. Like if you hit the drums, you're hitting the drums. On guitar, you can do things, for anybody watching on video, you can do things like just moving your chord hand. You don't really hear that too much.
Right,
Now, unless it detracts from your attention in the lesson, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But strumming, one thing I was taught before was to teach students a move called the superhero move. And it's where you'd say to them, you'd have a trigger word like superhero, where they'd go like this, like an Iron Man type move. So for anybody listening only, it is, I'm lifting my hand above the guitar and it's up around my chest area. So what it's doing is it's keeping me away from strumming the guitar.
Yes.
So all I have to do is superhero. And next thing they go like that. And they have it. Now, here's the thing. It could be enough a habit throughout the week at home that you're trying to curve back a habit in a lesson. So it can get fairly difficult at times to keep that going.
Yeah.
And do you ever find that there comes a point in the lesson where you're like, oh, I'm just going to teach this stuff and hopefully it's going?
No.
You're like, don't play.
I don't like. I can't teach. I just don't see the point in teaching unless everyone is listening. Because I suppose I teach group lessons, so you can be guaranteed if you have 15 people in the group. So most of my groups are in around the 10 to 15 mark, and you have 8 people who are listening. What I try and do is I'll try and what's called proximal praise. So I'd say, well done, whatever, John. That's brilliant listening. Fair play to you. And that will actually get the attention of the 7 who aren't listening.
Okay.
Better than going, shut up!
Yeah,
Stop
yeah.
playing the drums! Jesus! Which happens a lot as well, which is why my voice is sore today, because I had drums last night. I had lots of pancakes, so the sugar was aplenty. But that's one method I have. But what I find as well is if you don't get the attention of the other 7, you're guaranteed to finish the lesson and you go, right, it's right, left. The next right is on the corner, then 2 on the ground, then back to your bucket. And the 8 who are listening will play it. The other 7 will go, what?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what was it?
Yeah.
What? And then you have to teach exactly the same, just taught the 8 to the 7.
Gotcha.
And you're just chewing up your lesson time.
Yeah, with larger numbers, I'd imagine that would happen.
Yeah, it's just so yeah, I mean, if you're out there and you're listening, kids, it would be a great idea to just listen rather than tootling. Because the thing about it is, like, I give tootle time in my class. Like that, every teacher has to set aside that. So when people come in, just let them jam away. But then you have to have the instruction phase, which I try and keep quite short. And sometimes what I'll do, if I know the class is really rowdy, I'll ask them for 3 minutes.
Okay.
And I put my phone out with 3-minute timer on it.
Okay.
I say, give me 3 minutes. That's all I need. And then they can have something tangible there to work, to count down.
Cool.
But I suppose that's all bigger number strategies.
Yeah, it is, and that's useful for people with bigger numbers. I've an absolute max. I've 3 on guitar. Just the way I phrase it on guitar is like there is 6 strings on a guitar, and when I'm teaching 3 students at once, I don't think of it as 3 students. I think of it as I'm managing 18 strings here at a time. Because if a student is playing a G chord and 1 string isn't coming out, I chase it.
Right.
And so I'm teaching at the level there now of 18 strings.
Jesus.
So,
Never
yeah.
go to you for lessons, man.
Fine attention to
Hopefully
detail.
you won't notice this.
Yeah. Press harder. Or no, stop tootling. But yeah, so in terms of tootling, there's a little bit that goes on in my lessons, but it's only if, like, I'll put it this way, I can tootle and take stuff in. I have some students who can do that too.
Yeah.
But it's where my voice starts to go. That's where I ask. And in fairness, I've great students. They'll listen. If they're like, geez, Dave's fairly turned on the teachery stuff here. He's like, do you know, my voice is starting to go. They all respect it. It's great. Really thankful for it.
Need to get some of your students.
You do have some of my students, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have the same problem. See, I run my lessons they're all fairly manic anyway.
Gotcha.
I just want to keep the energy up. But I pay the price of my voice big time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so tootling, number 1.
Habit numero uno.
Number 2 there, Dave. We'll let you kick that one off.
Cool. So it's for guitarists, it's how to hold the pick. Now, how to hold the pick, it's fairly a thing that for some people, like Eddie Van Halen, doesn't hold it with just his thumb and his index, and he's one of my favorite guitar players ever. But there are common best practices on guitar. Eddie Van Halen was quite the unique specimen of a guitar player.
Right, yeah.
So thumb and index, loads and loads and loads of players in the beginning stages tend to grip onto the pick with their index
Still doing that.
in their middle. You are, is it? Interesting. Okay, so if you're my student, I was trying to talk you out of this. It won't happen here now in a 2-minute window, but I'll try. So I'd say, here's the thing. If you hold the pick with your thumb and those 2 fingers, some songs require you to use your fingers as well as the pick at the same time. So like, right now, if you hold it like this, there's a nerve called the ulnar nerve that runs through your pinky.
I know it well.
And watch this, if you try and move those 2 independently, you can't.
Yeah.
They just move at the same time, your ring and your pinky. So that means that picking using those 2, waste of time. and as well, the flexibility of your wrist gets affected when you strum. A lot of beginner students now, this sort of T-Rex sort of shape going on can happen. So that'll be the thing. So if you aren't getting out of it, I'd give the middle finger a job to do by putting a pick, getting the student to put a pick between their index and their middle finger. So now
hold it there.
Yeah, so now it has a job. And sometimes when you give a student a job to do, what that does is that lets them not do their usual habit. So you're kind of putting it'd be like, let's put it this way, somebody trying to give up cigarettes, you put in Nicorette patches or you put in something else to replace that vacuum. Otherwise the old thing, but I don't. Just want to seriously clarify
Another
that.
really bad habit. Overeating.
Overeating, just teach guitar. But yeah, so that's the thing. It's putting the pick there, and that gives that's a massive one. And it's a habit I've seen players, I'm going to say this in front of you, if they're an adult and they've been doing it for years, it's really hard to get out of.
Damn it.
Yeah, but it's not impossible. It's possible. I know, sorry.
Anyway, just jamming and hamming. I'll stick to the drums. It's exact same then on drums with the stick hold. So, I mean, if you were to take all the top drummers in the world, would say Steve Gadd, Buddy Rich, John Bonham, just to take those three, they'd be my three favourites. They all hold the sticks very differently. Gadd holds the stick much more back near the butt. So, like Dave was saying, there's a million variations in holding the stick, but there's also a couple of pitfalls that will definitely hinder your playing. And the big one really is you've got to keep your ergonomics in check, like, so you've got to be able to let your hands bounce. So what I find nearly all the time, when a student starts coming in to play the drums, they'll invert their wrist upwards. So we'd say that blue vein that crosses the wrist, like their fingernails are facing the roof. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When they're holding the stick on the left hand, and they'll actually be trying to play like this.
Oh. So
on the video, I suppose you have to be on the video to hear it. Yeah, and you see that going on the whole time. And I mean that motion there is just terrible. Like, you've got
so
no
that motion
power.
you're describing is you having your wrist facing towards the ceiling, and as you're trying to land a stick down, it's still facing the ceiling. Yeah. And how should it be faced?
The other way. So all your power, all your elbow and your wrist and your fingers work in tandem when you're striking the drum down. And it also allows you to what's called play out of the kit. So you can hit the stick down and the stick will bounce back. And that's a huge, like, you can't get any of those Buddy Rich techniques down unless you have bounce in your play. You just can't. It's impossible. Hate to break the news. So that's the most important one, is not holding your stick at that funny angle up, and not, like, what happens is people have they're kind of holding the stick like in line with their belly button, which shouldn't be anywhere near your stomach. Like, it should be out here on the side. So sometimes a stool adjustment will do that to position yourself differently, and always position yourself around the snare. That's where you start, and then you build the rest of the kit around it. I should probably put up a lesson or something about that on YouTube, but anyway, holding the sticks properly is very important. The other thing you never do is you never put your index finger out along the stick, which loads of people do.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Cripes. I never did that now myself, but
is there any famous players that do it?
I think Mitch Mitchell used to do it.
Okay.
He used to have a kind of a pencil hold. Really weird.
Wow.
Jimi Hendrix's
drummer,
first drummer, which is just bananas. And Ginger Baker used to have a weird way of holding the sticks as well.
Ginger Baker, I know that name.
Yeah,
very good.
Have you seen the documentary? Oh my god!
Check it out, people.
Doolally. Shout out to Ginger. You're Doolally, my man.
Imagine he gets in touch.
Number 3. So I call this one set the tracks with my students. So if you're in a carriage on a train, the train is firmly ensconced within the tracks. Is ensconced? Maybe ensconced not right to use for a train because it's moving. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It can't go off the tracks unless the driver is completely nuts. But it'll Stay on the tracks unless something knocks it off or the driver makes a big mistake. So what you want to do with your practice, let's say if I have the pattern going on of right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left. So I'll use that exercise with my students to develop their left hand. And when they get the exercise, usually I'll go like to get their attention, so they have it. But immediately then, rather than going they all go trying to play it as fast as you can. So one huge habit that you need to stop, or one huge habit that you need to start, is always play every exercise slow at the beginning, so that you set those train tracks so that as the train starts moving faster and faster and faster down the track, it doesn't go flying off the track. If you don't set those tracks and get the muscle memory happening with those movements, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, I do that as well. I just add in another thing on top of that. It's where, like, the tracks thing, I really like that. I'm going to use that later. Thank you.
That's good.
And I also add in, some students actually, depending on their personality type, some might be more of a cautious nature where they play it, and I know looking, I'll go, I think they could play it faster, just staying in this sort of comfort zone, a chilled out zone. So I sometimes ask them to ramp it up, and also to spend a small bit of time, a very small bit of time, in an area that I had the 3 frames. I had a speed you can play it any day of the week, play it in your sleep, like keeping it on the tracks. A speed where you're pushing it a bit, there's a few little errors, but you don't wait in that area for long. It's just letting you know. Sometimes, I'll put it this way, if you had an error in your driving, that will get amplified the faster you drive.
Yeah.
So the faster they play, little mistakes will pop out.
Yeah.
And the final thing was a speed that they're just about hanging on. But it's a bit of a thrill. They don't spend half the amount of time there, of course. But it lets them know, wow, geez, I can already do a few of these bits.
Yeah,
it gives them sort of a promise. However, like you're saying, keeping it on the tracks, a current speed that works for them. So yeah, I'd be the same way.
That's a very interesting difference between drummers and guitar players there now. Because like 99 out of 100 drummers will go too fast.
Yeah.
You'd never get it. You'd never get any of the kids I teach playing it too slow. They're constantly pushing the speed faster, always.
Wow.
I wonder why that is. I suppose just because you have the 2 sticks.
Bro, I wonder, is there a thing as archetypes of drummers and guitar players?
Yeah.
Like, I think the Muppets, but that isn't a fair analogy. That isn't like Animal was the drummer. There's no guitar player in the Muppets.
No, there wasn't even a guitar player. Couldn't even get a gig, man.
The chef as well, sure. If you're going by archetypes, sorry, the Muppets is an awful archetype thing to describe people.
Yeah, but I mean, the drummer archetype is out there. This
Yeah.
kind of unhinged, crazy person that gets all the chicks.
Yeah, but at the same time, you've like the
That's
likes
wrong.
of, we'd say, big acts, and the drummer is in the background keeping the whole rock beat solid, and without them, the whole thing could come apart.
I know, yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any truth to those archetypes at all. But it is funny that definitely that's a difference.
Yeah.
Like, all of my students try to play too fast.
Wow.
All of them, across the board. 99 out of 100. I might get 1 in 100 that doesn't.
I sometimes use if a student is doing that, and it's a habit that they've formed, and like usually within a 30-minute lesson, I'll know if it's a habit that they leave the room, and I go, oh, once they go home now, that they're still within that frame of mind, 1 or 2 of them, that
Yeah.
I know, as I said, there's 30 minutes in the week for a lesson. How many 30-minute segments is there outside of the lesson in their home environment, school?
I know.
And that's where you want to get your habits. Like, you need to make them aware of, they need to be aware of habits and habit change. So yeah. I feel like the podcast just hit a bit of a negative slump. Sorry, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's my analogy about the drummers. Or not my analogy, my archetypal drummer. Of course, there's amazing drummers now all over the world who don't fit into that analogy.
Big shout out to all those drummers.
Shout out to Anika Niles. Maybe she does get all the chicks. Don't know if she does or not. Anyways, so practice slow and set the tracks. Next one there, Dave. Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah, I'm just trying to read it. Sorry, I have no glasses on.
My handwriting says, try and avoid mindless jamming during the development phase.
Okay. Interesting. This is where our teaching philosophies would differ slightly. How long is the development phase on drums, do you feel, roughly?
Very short. So my practice sessions, I would try and break up, like, I suppose the hour is the classic. So quarter, half, whatever you're working off yourself. So, if you know, so 25, 50%. And the mindless jamming is the 50% at the end.
Okay,
so development is only the 20 in the middle.
Oh, yeah,
the 25 in the middle. It's quite short.
Okay, I'm going to flip that. I've less jamming and more development in the beginning stages. So
yeah,
I was like, there'd be times I'd say to them, make something up, and straight away you haven't given somebody precise instructions, and they go, what? I said, anything at all. You can't get this wrong. The only way you can get it wrong is if you don't play anything. And straight away, and I was like, you know, like I compared to a baby making sounds. I said, a baby doesn't wait there going, God, I hope I pronounce this word right. They're making sounds. And now the thing about adults is adults go around a baby and they go, that's so cute. And as kids get older, they begin to realize that they might get pulled on pronunciations of things, and so that can lead to a bit of a hesitancy over playing on guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally they'll go for it.
Yeah. The only problem I have is that in drumming in particular, you will get people who will start their development phase. They'll do 2 minutes of what they're supposed to be doing. So right, left, right, left. And then away they go.
Wow.
So they'll just start mindless jamming with the pattern, or else going back to what they know, maybe trying to work their new fill into old fills, all that stuff, which is a very important part of your drum education. But it's 50% at the end. What you need to do is make sure for that 25% in the middle that you're better at that than you were when you started. And you need to focus only on that for whatever quarter of your practice time that you have. So if you have 40 minutes, that you need to make sure that 10 minutes of it is dedicated to just doing that. And that's how you get way better, more proficient as a player by doing that.
Yeah, and as well, in lessons with the development there, you're saying, I was teaching somebody under pressure yesterday. Bohemian Rhapsody is fairly on the rise. Now this comes on DVD and online and stuff.
Yes.
And I asked somebody, I said, how long do you reckon it would take for you to get this? Because I wanted to check in, and they went, don't know, maybe a week. And I saw my window of opportunity, so I was like, 5-minute timer, here we go. And I absolutely just said, do this, loop that pattern's the same there, try both those, and straight away the building blocks, I believe, for building up, and within 5 minutes they had it.
They had the whole song?
They had the, hold on now, I might know how to play this fully.
Sounds good.
And then some. Strum and drum, drum.
Strum and drum, sorry.
You put strum and drum in any song.
Strum and drum. Class.
So anyways, but they left.
Drum.
And the most important thing there was with the development was, I'm kind of gone off topic here, sorry. It's all right. But the important thing was they were after proving to themselves that something they had said, they heard themselves say, that'll take a week.
Yeah.
Now they're like, they're doing 5 minutes. And then put in the little, I don't know, is it a caveat? Where I'm like, imagine what else you think takes a week. You could do it in 5 minutes with proper structure. So that's just the thing about development there.
Yeah, brilliant. Very good. I don't know if you have an alternative one on guitar, but on number 5, for drummers, resting your left hand on your left leg. That's if you're a right-handed player. If you're a left-handed player, then resting your right hand on your right leg.
Is that as you play? So when you hit the drum, you rest on the leg after?
All the time.
Wow. Okay.
I know. Breaks my heart. It's usually when people are in like the beat position, so with right hand over left, and they just leave their left hand down there. I don't know why people do it, to be quite honest. But you can imagine how much that hinders your playing.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like, you should be up and have a clear strike on the kit every time, not like this.
Wow.
And it's going back to that thing I was talking about earlier. Those things are a contributing factor. So for the next 6 weeks, never put your left hand on your left leg or rest your left arm on your
Never
left
do it again.
leg. Never do it again.
That's the thing too about habits for anybody looking to quit the bad habits they're doing. Replace them with the good habit, and having that thing of 40 days and 40 nights for the thing. All of a sudden you may find, hold on, I'm nearly out of the woods here with this.
Yeah.
That's massive. Like if you try and quit something forever is a pretty long time, and it makes it a bit harder. On guitar, the equivalent to that is strumming, where somebody, and for anybody listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, it's on YouTube as well. We'll put a link in the thing below this. So what happens is they don't keep their arm moving.
Oh yeah.
And that really affects rhythm for the beginning stages. So yeah, that would be a biggie on guitar.
Okay, very good. Number 6, I have in, I don't know if this has any relevance to guitar, overkill of what you know. So what happens to drumming is people learn something they really like, they practice it at home, they nail it, and then they play it all the time for the next year.
Eve, I have to admit, that happens on guitar loads.
I would imagine it does, especially on guitar.
Move my body. Do you know that?
Love with the strum and drum.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so just be careful. Like that goes back to the practice time, that your development phase of your new thing that you're trying to do doesn't get any of that overkill feel. Now, I don't know what yours is. Everybody has one. Everyone has that feel that they know and they do again and again and again, and that beat they know that they do again and again and again. It's great. Consolidation is great, but not to that level. Just make sure that that's going in your jamming phase, and that you're not just a one-trick pony. Oh yeah, that's your man that always does the whatever beat.
That happens loads with singers and songs. I
Yeah.
feel. Like where they sing a lovely version of a song, and they're like, would you sing that one you always sing?
Yeah.
And then they get the praise for it.
Your song.
Your song, yeah.
Yeah.
They get the praise for it, and they go, God, I get loads of praise. And next thing they stay within, and the more they perform it, the better they get at that song.
Yeah.
And next thing they pull out a new song. And like the way we would have learned with bands, I remember that feeling when I was younger where you play a song and you go, this is going to be unreal. And maybe you're the only person in the pub who loves Guns N' Roses, you could be mine. And next thing, you get that deflated little feeling where you go, oh man, that's not good, oh man. It can be discouraging.
Yeah.
So definitely build out your set list.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah. And the last one. Do you want to do the last one?
I can't.
Yeah. Sent shudders down my body.
See what I did there?
I did. Nice one. Nice one. So Dave can't do that, or so he thinks. The next one is ruling out that little word called can't out of your vocabulary. There's no reason ever to use it. Well, I suppose maybe if you're tied up or something like that.
Well, I'll put it this way. I can't jump from here. I can't jump 20 feet from where I am. That's a physical fact.
Yeah.
There are facts out there that, yeah, you can say I can't, like, can't jump out the window. That's really bad.
But you can't.
Yeah, actually, okay, that was a bad example, and I won't. But the thing is, there's certain physical things that we can't, gravity and things like that. However, yeah, using the word can't implies just it's not possible for the person.
Yeah.
I always make the kids aware of this. Like, I really believe educators are in a position that when it comes to lessons like this, like if somebody's saying they can't play their E minor to G quick enough, that probably means that they're saying they can't do other things too outside the lessons.
Yeah.
And now whatever they do outside lessons is their own business. However, when I show them saying, Joe, when you say you can't, this is what you're really saying here. And then, like, I don't know how to yet.
Yeah.
I usually reframe it into that for them.
Yeah. Because can't is so permanent. I can't.
Well, it's not solution based.
Yeah. I mean, that could go on forever.
Yeah.
And but it's very powerful. You see, it sends a message to your brain and your body that, and it just puts the thing way further away from where you should be. So I can't yet, or I'm unable to do it yet, or I haven't figured this out yet.
And adults do this though. Like, okay,
Oh, yeah.
I'm on for having the crack here, but I'm getting deadly serious for this last part. I hear adults say I can't the whole time, and if you've people whatever age saying they can't do something, full stop. That's there's no. I couldn't even segue into the solution there by saying I can't.
Yeah,
do
there's
whatever.
no comeback. It's so permanent and definite.
Yeah.
It's I think, like you listen, there's so many podcasts out there now and stuff, and as I said before, I'm a bit of a sports buff. So when you listen to like coaches and stuff like that, like same in business, for any people who are building a successful team, it's pretty much common practice that they'll identify that word and they'll remove it from their workplace or from their
ethos,
from their team or their ethos. Yeah. I mean, it's commonly known stuff that stuff has a very detrimental effect on your psychology and on your attitude. I can't. So that would be a huge one if you're in the habit of saying it. And some people say it and they don't realize the power of it, which is when it's most dangerous, I suppose, because people say I can't, and they don't. Like, they might be positive people otherwise, and
well, check this out. I go, geez, I can't do that at all. Like, bit of a smile, bit of a playful nature to it, but the content is there to say I can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, I've said I can't more than I've said it in the last year, I'd say that.
Yeah, I know, me too.
Like, and here's the thing.
Feels weird.
It doesn't, like, of course, the positivity side of things, it's not about going, I can. Well, do you know, there's some things I'm terrible at, and I'll admit it, and I don't have a skill set. But if you get your student to realise that it isn't about them, it's about their skill set in that area. Now you've isolated what they're saying they can't do into something tangible that's an activity. And all of a sudden, they go, oh. And then I'll be like, name another activity that you thought you couldn't do when you were younger. And they go, well, there was this one time. And I said, how did you get that?
Yeah.
And then, well, I did. And it's like, it's repetition, it's knowledge, it's practice, it's the usual components.
Yeah.
And it's so easy for them to forget that. And especially if they're in an environment where they're hearing loads of people around them go, I can't do this, I can't. It gets stuck in their head where they go.
And it's an acceptable excuse then as well sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is not where you want to be heading for. So that's number 7, and that
do
is
a whole podcast on that word.
It. Yeah.
That's coming down off the board after this.
yeah. What was I going to say? You had one there playing along with tracks.
Yeah, just guitar students out there playing along with songs. So important. I was teaching somebody lately and I compared it to this. I said, when I was your age, I used to put on, like, you had to go into town, you had to buy the album for like fucking
$13.99.
30 or get 2 for €21. And the thing was, you'd bring it home, you would I listened to Europe's greatest hits. I've a bit of news for people out there. They don't have that many greatest hits.
Wow.
I know.
They had a greatest hits album.
I know. Final Countdown, I bought it for one
Final
song.
Countdown, short edit. Final Countdown, full edit.
Final Countdown,
Countdown
European remix.
Yeah.
And the thing about it was, I got that, but like straight away there was investment, there was time, and I stuck on the song, and the thrill of trying to do the wristry falling off me, like.
Yeah.
And the thing was, nowadays I click a YouTube video, it's free, and the visual is there. I never practice long music videos. Visually, you're just compelled to look at the story.
Yeah. It's true.
So the song, Spotify, I'd recommend. And the reason for that is, it's because nowadays students tend to go on, and I asked them, I said to somebody yesterday, do you ever just go into like YouTube and you don't know what you went in for? And then you leave and you're in a bit of a haze.
Oh God.
But like, yeah. And the thing about it is, when you put on the song you're meant to practice along with, thumbnails, the good old cat videos, the OMG reaction, unboxing of Europe's greatest hits. Doubt that's out there.
It's one of you.
Big shout out to Europe. Imagine.
You're the only person that got
I don't know, a VCR. Didn't even have time. But I remember that buzz though, where you get the CD. I'd have that open by the time I get in the car.
Oh,
or if I got to a
yeah.
cafe, you'd take off the plastic wrap and
you'd have all the sleeve red.
Yeah.
I'd be the same.
wondering how long they grew their hair. Like, but the thing was, so that's it. Play along tracks. Try and stay off YouTube. If you have internet access, I'm saying this to older students or older people, and you're on Chrome, there's a good thing in the Chrome store. Tim Ferriss recommended it lately. It's called like distraction free, and it whites out the related videos on YouTube. So when you click in on the video, you're only watching that video.
That's brilliant. And
that is the biggest nugget of wisdom.
That's great.
This week.
Yeah. I don't think drummers have the same problem because it's pretty boring. Well, it's not boring. It's very exciting. I should rephrase that. To play the drums on your own, but you know, you need to have the song along with you to know where you are and for the words. And I mean, the guitar, you can follow the melody yourself, and it's a bit different. Drums, I think drummers play along a lot more. Anyway, so that wraps it up.
Yep.
Have a lovely Lent, removing all your bad habits.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the most negative podcast we've ever done, Eve.
Anyway, you know, there's weeds in the garden. You can't pretend they're not there.
Come on, John.
Yeah.
Anybody who got that, please post. Anybody who got that little reference, please send us a comment. We'd love to chat.
So that about wraps it up. We'll see you next week for the next Strum and Drum.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. You can find me on YouTube under Dave Donoghue, and you can find Dave under
Facebook Drumador, or my own Instagram or Facebook, or Instagram Drumador as well.
Coolio.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Catch you very soon.
See you soon.